Yeah, so today we will start on back into some of the machine learning basics. Decision trees we read up to some part. Then again we will read some statistics now. Then again we will read some machine learning. So that is the way we go. So today what I'm planning to teach you is just a minute. Uh, Cross validations and confusion matrix. Okay. So cross validation is an important concept here. So I'll tell you how, what is the importance of it. So, okay, so you remember our data set, right? So we had uh, three data sets and then one final data set. So it was like chest pain is there or not, good blood circulation was there or not, and then
Block arteries.
blocked arteries was there or not, and then
The
whether
output is heart disease.
this was our data set, right? So now you saw that we did decision trees on this, and we are getting results. We developed a model, and we were able to predict the heart disease up to a certain accuracy. So we also saw that this can be done by multiple regression, multiple linear regression. So in this case, the linear regression will not be a single line, it will be a volume because there are three parameters, right? So there it will be a volume. We have to imagine a four-dimensional space. It can also be a logistic regression in which we can do that. So basically, that means we have multiple choices for us to test to use for a particular classification problem, okay, or regression problem. So how do we know to which one to use? Which one is the best possible solution for us to use? Obviously, if we are going to do everything, then there is no point in testing the best one because we are going to apply all the data on all the algorithms. It's not a good way, right? So for that reason, there is a concept called cross validation, which is applied. Cross validation. Okay. So cross validation means if this is my data set, I divide my data into four parts. Say, okay, I use this part, and this part for training my data, and I use this part for testing my data. Okay. So now the question you can ask is that why did you choose this part as testing the data? Why didn't you choose this part as testing the data? That's a valid question. Uh, and maybe there is some benefit in using this part as a training testing data. So we can have one more combination. Then we can have this one as a testing data and this part, and this part as training data. Similarly, you can tell why not someone in the middle you use as a training data, testing data, and all the extremes. So you can tell that, okay, yeah, this one we will use as testing data, and this one we will use as training data. So as you can see, we have multiple options, and this is just for 4 divisions of the data, right? So if we have n divisions of the data, so many options we have for kind of validating our data, choosing the test set for our data. Now, the question is that what should I use? Which one should I use? Whether I should go with this, or go with this? And how do I know which one is the good one for my model selection? So how is the hierarchy? First, I have data. Second, I have a regression or a classification problem. Third, I have a bunch of algorithms using which I can solve these problems. And fourth, I have a bunch of choices in which I can segregate my data into training and testing data to validate, to train and validate my algorithms. Okay. So once I validate my algorithm using this training data, using this testing data, then only can I say that algorithm A is better than algorithm B, or algorithm B is better than algorithm A. Now, confusion lies here is that suppose we go with this one, with this selection. So in this selection, maybe decision trees are the best model for this data. It gives a very good result. But when I choose this one, maybe linear regression is giving much better result. Okay. So, and when I choose this one, maybe logistic regression is giving much better results, right? So, it is a kind of confusion for me, right? So I cannot definitely say that the decision tree is the best algorithm for my data. So for that reason, there is a cross validation function. So cross validation in TensorFlow. It's called k-fold cross validation. Okay. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes, Vishwa, you can see.
Means, can you see the new tab that I have opened?
Yes, machine curve, right?
Yeah, machine curve. Yeah. So here we have a function which is called as k-fold. Okay, k-fold. If you see here it is k-fold. So this one is from sklearn model selection import k-fold, and this k-fold splits the total data set into n number of folds, then shuffles them by like just card shuffling, right? You shuffle the cards, that way you shuffle them, and what you do is you train and test on each split of the k-fold. You train and test on each split of the k-fold. That means what? That means you use this one, you use this one, and you use this one, and keep a record of how the models are performing. Okay, suppose there are 3 models that I'm using. Okay, decision trees, linear regression, and logistic regression. Okay, so for the first data, decision tree is better than these two. For the second data, this is linear regression is better than these two. For the third data, logistic regression is better than these two, and this is for the first k-fold. This is one k-fold. Okay, how many fold? This is 4-fold. Here k is equal to 4. Okay, k is equal to 4. K-fold means what is the value of k? K is how many partitions are we making in the data. So 4-fold data. So this is the first one. Again, what we do, we take the another type of combination of k-fold. Okay, and then we repeat this experiment. Here also the decision tree is better than these two. So we keep track of this like this. Okay, then we fill up the entire table. Then we use the third one also. So what happens ultimately at the end, the average is taken out, and whichever in totality, in average, whichever model is better, that model is actually selected as the best model to be used for this particular data set. So this is called k-fold cross-validation in TensorFlow. So you can see here how it first defines a k-fold, and then it gives the k-fold the inputs and the targets. So one thing I will be telling you guys is that I am keeping on teaching you theory, right? So you have to, I will give you links of the corresponding code also, k-fold I taught you. So what will be the code? Like this one is a k-fold code. So you have to practice that. You have to write small programs and practice that. It's not like only theory. If you know, if you understand, yeah, it's in interview you can go and say a k-fold is this and that, but you have to also do it right. So that is important. So that's why it is important. So here what will happen is that k-fold will every time give a new training and testing batch. Okay, so train and test. That means what? This is train and this is the test. So this is every time. That's why it is running in a for loop, right? It is running in a for loop. So how many ever splits? That many ever times train and test will be generated, and the model will be compiled, and the model will be trained, and the model will be evaluated, and at the end we will know the score. Okay, so here some theory is given. So if you just go and search for k-fold, I don't know why Bing has become my default search. Yeah. Yeah, this will be a good data set. You can see here. So how the k-fold is happening here. Okay, so this is a example is given here. You can practice this example, and you can run on your machine, laptop. Okay.
Vishwa, Nitish, coming back to the basic question,
Mm-hmm.
we already had train test split, right?
We have train test split, yes.
So why we need to do this shuffling and with k-fold and run the model again? I didn't get.
Yeah, okay. So as I said you, right? So you when you do train test split, it randomly splits the data into one portion. Okay.
Yes.
Now for that portion of that random split, maybe decision tree is giving you good result. But
Okay.
if you again do train test split, it gives you a new split. And for that split, decision tree is no more giving you the best result. Then what you will do? Which one you will choose? How you will know that your choice of algorithm for this data set should be decision tree? Because for one train test split, it is working fine. For the second, it is telling that no, logistic regression is better. So what I will do? So that's why I always go for k-fold k-fold cross validation. In this process, what happens? You become 100% sure that with multiple k-folds, also my data is my model selection ultimately is the average of all the types of splits that can be done, and out of which the winner is descent.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so this is
How to decide how many folds? Like, is there any logic to decide how many folds that we have?
normally it depends on the what is your data set. Suppose you have 1 million data set, right? Now if you do k is 10, then you will have 10,000 folds, right? So 10,000 folds means it's a huge combination. How many combinations can happen? You can just imagine, right? So you will definitely not do a 10-fold split. You will do maybe thousands fold split. Okay. But if you have say only 100 data, so 10-fold split is making sense. So it depends on how much data you have. If you have the high amount of data, then make the split size as big, so that your number of folds become less and total number of combinations become less, and you can cover the total combinations in a finite time. And if your total data is small, then you make your k-fold small so that you get more variety and you get better results. Got it? So it all depends on the user, the developer's choice. Okay. Okay. So after this, k-fold, we can go for the confusion matrix. Okay, the confusion matrix is also an important concept. So in the confusion matrix also, it helps us to understand it like k-fold confusion matrix also helps us understand which algorithm to use during which type of problem. Okay, so I'll explain you what is this. This confusion matrix is little important, so try to give keep your focus on this question. So here also same type of, we have 3 data sets, we have 3 columns and 1 final column. Here whatever we had, those all columns are there, and the final column. So now what happens is that so what is the output here? The output is a binary variable, right? Just a minute. My mouse is full of dog hair. Yeah, okay. So so let's make a box like this, and let's divide it like this. Okay, so here is true, false, and here is true, false. Okay, so imagine just a minute. This is the predicted and this is the actual. That means actually the person had heart disease, true or false. The model predicted the person has heart disease, true, false. Okay, so there can be 4 scenarios, right? There can be total 4 scenarios. That is, the person actually had heart disease and the model correctly predicted that he has heart disease. Okay, so suppose say 120 years. So that means total 120 people who actually had heart disease, model correctly predicted them to have heart disease. Okay, I'll write this one in green color.
True positives, right? Which one?
Yeah. Yeah, and suppose this is 110. That is 110 people actually did not have heart disease, and the model also predicted that they don't have heart disease. That means this column, this diagonal, okay, the cells in this diagonal are good cells. Good cells in the sense means the higher the numbers in these cells, the better is the model, because it is in touch with the reality. It is in more touch with the reality, right? But suppose here is 35 and here is say 50. So what happened? That means 50 people did not have heart disease, but our machine, our model said that they have heart disease. Okay. And here 35 people had heart disease, but our model said they don't have heart disease. Okay. So each of these box has a name. Each of these box has a name. The first one is true positive. True positives. Okay. The second one is true negatives. True negatives. Okay. The third one is false negatives, and the fourth one is false positives. False positives and false negatives. Okay. So true positive, true negative. So now here you see both the term, the first term is true. Here the first term is true, the second term is true. I remember it this way. When in the diagonal boxes in which the higher the number, the better the value, always starts with true, right? So true positive, true negative. And the boxes where the values, if it is higher, is bad, always starts with false. For false positive, false negative. Okay, so this is a trick that I use to remember this, because sometimes it gets very confusing when there are more than two options. Now here there are only two options, so there are 4 boxes. Imagine we had 3 options, so there will be 9 boxes, right? So that will become a little difficult. Okay, so this is called true positive, true negative. True means when the beginning of the term is true, that means it is the good box. When the beginning of the term is false, that means it is the bad box. Okay, so our goal is should be that to increase the true boxes, and to decrease the false boxes. Okay, increase the true boxes, decrease the false boxes. Okay, so now the higher the value of true boxes, the better the model. The lower the value of the false boxes, the better the model, and vice versa, right? So this is also one more category or way in which we can evaluate models, right? We can evaluate models. So suppose we have this data, decision tree had this type of arrangement. Suppose another model, logistic regression, had something else. This was 110 and this was 80. This was 65 and this was 40. So tell me, which model is better, decision tree or logistic regression?
And decision tree.
Yeah, because our good boxes have higher values and bad boxes have lower values in decision trees in comparison to that. But sometimes it can happen as such that this can be like 20 and this can be like 5. This can also happen. So then what to do? Here it shows that if I go by green boxes, then my decision tree is better. But if I go by red boxes, then my logistic regression is better. Now it all depends on the domain and the problem in which you are working. So what I am losing, a person has heart disease and I am telling he has heart disease, that is low in comparison to decision tree. But a person has heart disease and I am telling he does not have heart disease is very, very low in comparison to decision trees. So that means a person who has heart disease and your model is telling that, boss, you don't have a heart disease, you go on eating junk food. So that is a very risky model, right? So even if my this value is lower than this value, this makes all the difference, right? Because this one is much, much important when it comes to medical ground, right? In medical ground, false negative is a very dangerous thing to happen, right? Means you have a disease, but your model is telling you have no disease. If you don't have a disease and the model says you have a disease, that's okay. You may get a treatment which you did not need. It will not do you much harm. There may be some side effects of the medications, but you will not die. But if you have a disease and the model says you don't have the disease, then you will be carefree and you will go ahead, live your life like whatever you want to do, and then suddenly one day you will die. So that risk is much, much higher than the risk of having false positive. So false negative is a much, much more risky thing than having false negative. So even if my true positives are less, but since this value is lower, I will consider a logistic regression and not a decision tree. But same thing in another situation where true positives is more important in comparison to false negative, then decision tree becomes more important, right? So this all choosing of which one is good, which one is bad, which one should be used, which one should not be used, it's completely at the discretion of the data scientist and the domain at which he is working, right? So it is always the steps involved in this are go and talk to the customer. So for whom you are building the model, you have to be very clear on the requirement that what is your higher priority. If he says, no, the disease should be identified, then you always give high priority to false negatives, that I should have low false negatives. Even if I have to sacrifice on true positives, I have to give more importance to false negatives. Okay, so this is the process of selection of models. Okay, any doubt in this one? Okay. Okay, good. So now we can have more complicated cases also. More complicated cases like we can have three rows and three columns when there are three outcomes possible, right? We had two outcomes that time. Now we had three outcomes. Suppose true, false, and no result. again same true, false, and no result. Okay. So here also this box, and this box are the good boxes. Okay. So this is true positive, true negative, and this can be said what? True, no results. So all starts with true. Okay. And everything else, all the other boxes are bad results. Okay. So our goal should be to have more higher value in this region and lower value in the other region. So that is how we will choose the models. Okay. So for example, I have an example here. Example can be a movie, like suppose this is movie one, movie two, movie three. This is movie one, movie two, movie three. This is actual, right? This belongs to the actuals. The columns belongs to the actuals, and the rows belongs to the predicted. So that means actually the movie one was good. Model one predicted the movie one was good. Actually the movie two was good. The model predicted the movie two was good. Actually the movie three was good. The model predicted the movie three was good. Here, actually the movie two was good, was bad, was good, but our model predicted it to be bad. So here is a disconnect. Here is same way all the other places have disconnect. Okay, so our goal has to be always to have higher values in the first diagonal of cells and lower values in the other values, right? So this is our goal that has to be approached. So this is called the confusion matrix approach. So today you learned about two things that will determine or help you in selecting a model for a particular problem domain. One is cross validation and another is
Confusion matrix.
Yeah, confusion matrix. So there are some other concepts related to confusion matrix like specificity, and others. So I'll discuss that. So I'll wind up the class now only because I am very hungry. So
Okay, Vishal, no problem.
I'll go grab my dinner, and I'll next class we'll continue from specificity with the confusion matrix, and we'll see how it can scale for more number of variables, like 4 variables, 5 variables also we can calculate, and what is the meaning of specificity in contrast to, and how it can help us in determining to select which kind of model. Okay. Okay, guys.
Yeah, Vishal,
So
thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
Biswa.
if you have no more questions, then we can wind up.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Biswa.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good night. Yeah. Good night.